So it happened again. You told yourself today would be the day that you finally started that thing, began that routine, became super productive, finally got your shit together, right? And you started off telling yourself that you would do it later. That you do it after you just had 5, 10 minutes yourself, played one round of your video game, and then you pushed it back again. And at some point, mid afternoon, evening, you just gave up, right? Instead turned into self-pity and being annoyed at yourself for not doing anything, and you wonder why you keep doing this. But before we get into what to do about it, why do we get so down about this? It seems really obvious, right? You wanted to do something, you didn't, and so you feel guilty. But I don't actually think it's that simple because if you go out and have a fun day with your friends, or if you just really genuinely enjoy your time at home, you don't really feel bad, even though you weren't productive as such. You might feel a tad guilty, but probably not, and certainly not as much as you would have if you just scrolled and gamed and whatever else all day. And the reason is simple. You don't actually enjoy doing those things. You do them because they're easy. You stop being entertained by your feed, but you keep scrolling. You stopped enjoying your video game after an hour or two. You still play it for 8 more. Cooning will make you feel terrible. You convince yourself to do it again. And it's simply because it's easier than doing something hard, learning a new skill, starting something new, or just doing something that you actually want to do, but there's that little bit of upfront resistance to it. Your brain still chooses the easier option, even when you don't actually enjoy it. So I won't drag this video out, right? I'll tell you how I got over that and started to not only become, productive, but also genuinely enjoy doing so. But that distinction between easy and enjoyable is the key to all of this. So there's three main points. Just follow these, it'll fix everything. And the first is to be willing to be terrible at something. That sounds weird, but this probably blocks you without you even realizing, right? So for example, it's not actually that hard to sign up to a gym or a sport or whatever and just go along. What really stops you is the fear of not being good at it, right? You want the perfect plan, the perfect way to do it. And you don't like the thought of other people seeing you as a beginner. You got to stop, right? It does not matter. Everyone has been there. And just imagine that you have a kid who wants to learn football, play football. But he says he won't go along to, his first football trainer or whatever because he's not very good at it. What would you tell him? Obviously, yeah, you're not going to be good because you've never done it before. You shouldn't let that stop you, right? It seems so obvious when we say it to someone else, but we often fall for this ourselves. You will never start something and not be a beginner. You will also never find the perfect plan for anything because no one actually knows what that looks like in anything. So stop expecting yourself to be great at something you've never tried. Stop thinking you need to. The ability to be terrible at something is genuinely one of the most important skills you can learn. I think it's one of the if I, was to go back and talk to myself when I was, in my teenage years, I think one of the very first things I would tell him is it's fine to be terrible at something, right? If you do something badly for 10 years, you are going to become phenomenal at it. Now, point number two is more of a practical one, and it's do it at the start of the day. Don't BS yourself with, I'll do it after I've played my game for an hour, right? We've all done this 1,000 times. It doesn't work, right? The short answer is it's harder to do low dopamine tasks after something high dopamine like gaming. Set an amount of time or a certain task to get done. Be very specific about it, like what you want to get done. Do it first, then do whatever you want afterwards. And you might feel like doing more than you've assigned yourself. Go for it, right? But get that minimum task done. And not only will you actually do it, but you'll feel like you can enjoy the rest of your day afterward. And point number three kind of links on from that. It's something I've only really understood the importance of recently. And I think if you told me if you told me this a few years ago, I would have thought, that's ridiculous. Why would I ever do that? And it's to have a specific endpoint for the day. Now, I've had phases where I'm quite happy just working all day on something, right? Like my YouTube channel, because I've just genuinely enjoyed it. And if that's coming naturally to you, awesome, right? But most of the time, it isn't going to. And you could actually be doing really well, making good progress, working a good amount. If you don't have an endpoint, you are still going to hate yourself for not doing more, right? And especially with a lot of things that are online, there is potentially no end to them, right? Like YouTube, you could keep making videos forever, right? And so it's very easy to never feel like you've done enough and be miserable despite making progress. And that will eventually result in you quit. And not only that, it's actually so much harder to get started when you don't feel like it's going to end. If you have a vague goal of work on YouTube all day, that's so much harder to start compared to script this video, right? Especially because not having that end goal just makes it feel so much more daunting, right? No one wants to start something which isn't going to end. And so it sounds crazy, right? It sounds like, oh, you're limiting yourself, you're doing less. But it's the opposite. You will actually do more, especially if you're really struggling to do anything at all. Have an endpoint. Anyway, hope that helps you, bro. Let me know your thoughts down below. Like, seriously, do let me know, because obviously this is a totally new channel for me. Hit subscribe so I can watch the number go up, because I just like seeing it go up. And cheers for watching.